In the quiet forests of Austria, a young woman's life was brutally taken in 1974. Her name was Margret Schäfer. She was only 18 years old. She trusted the wrong man. This is the story of the serial killer who fooled the world. Jack Unterweger was born in Austria in 1950 into a life already surrounded by instability and crime. His father was an American soldier who was rarely present. His mother was a prostitute who spent time in prison. Jack's childhood was chaotic. He grew up without structure, guidance, or emotional support. By his teenage years, he was already involved in theft, violence, and sexual crimes. He was arrested multiple times for assault, burglary, and abuse, but nothing compared to what he would do in 1974. That year, Unterweger met 18-year-old Margret Schäfer. He lured her into the forest under false pretenses. What happened next was brutal. He beat her, he sexually assaulted her, then he strangled her using her own clothing. Afterwards, he left her body behind like discarded evidence of his violence. In 1976, Jack Unterweger was sentenced to life in prison for murder. The court believed society would be protected from him forever. Most people believed the story was over. But prison didn't silence Jack Unterweger. It transformed him. Behind bars, Unterweger discovered something powerful: writing. He taught himself literature. He began writing poems, short stories, and plays. He even wrote an autobiography titled Fireware. His writing was emotional. His words were intelligent. His stories reflected regret, pain, and reflection, and people noticed. Writers, journalists, and intellectuals became fascinated by him. They saw him as proof that even the worst criminals could be rehabilitated. They believed he had changed. They believed art had saved him. They claimed prison had reformed him. They said he deserved a second chance. In 1990, after just 15 years, Jack Unterweger was granted parole. The world welcomed him back with open arms. Unterweger didn't just return to society, he became a minor celebrity. He worked as a journalist. He attended literary events. He gave interviews. He appeared on television. People praised his intelligence. They admired his transformation. They called him a success story. Crucially, his new career as a crime reporter gave him unparalleled access to police procedures and insider knowledge, allowing him to study investigations from within and potentially steer narratives. He cultivated an image of a reformed man, now fighting crime, a deception that provided the perfect camouflage. But while the world celebrated his rehabilitation, something dark was awakening inside him once again. Within months of his release, women began dying. The victims were mostly prostitutes, women who were vulnerable and often ignored by society. Jack Unterweger killed again. On September 14, 1990, in Prague, he met 30-year-old butcher shop employee named Blanka Bochkova. By morning, her body was found near the Vltava River. She had been strangled, both with his hands and with a ligature. The pattern had returned. Back in Austria, the killings accelerated. Between October 1990 and May 1991, 7 women were murdered. They were sex workers, they were vulnerable, and several of them had been seen with Unterweger shortly before they vanished. He drove them out of the cities, into forests, into isolation. They were beaten, they were raped, they were strangled with their own bras, stockings, or pantyhose, twisted into weapons. Their bodies were left behind like forgotten objects of violence. Brynhild Moser, Heide Marie Hammerer, Elfriede Schrempf, Sylvia Zagler, Sabina Moitzi, Regina Prem, Karine Iroglu Slodki, 7 women, 1 signature. While they were disappearing, Unterweger was living comfortably. He attended literary events. He dated journalists. He moved through elite circles. He shared a home with a wealthy magazine writer. He looked reformed. He sounded intelligent. He smiled for cameras. and at night, he hunted. When Regina Prem vanished, her husband searched desperately. He offered a reward. He begged for answers. Instead, he received phone calls, mocking calls, cruel jokes. One of the voices belonged to Jack Unterweger. In 1991, his career took him even farther. Los Angeles. He was sent to write about crime, about prostitution, about danger. He rode with police, he interviewed officers, he observed the streets, and then he killed again. Shannon Exley, Irene Rodriguez, Peggy Jean Booth. 3 women, 3 bodies, all strangled with bras tied in a precise knot. The same method, the same control, the same cruelty. The reporter was documenting violence by day and creating it by night. Across Europe and the United States, the bodies kept appearing. Forests, fields, abandoned areas. Same victims, same signature, same killer. Slowly, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Investigators looked back to 1974, to Margret Schäfer, to the knot, to the man who had once been locked away, Jack Unterweger. When police began closing in, he ran. He crossed borders, he tried to vanish. But on February 27, 1992, he was arrested in Miami, Florida. The charming writer was now an international murder suspect. Back in Austria, the evidence piled up. Witnesses, forensics, patterns. At least 9 murders were linked to him. Many believe there were more. In 1994, Jack Unterweger was sentenced to life in prison for murder. No parole, no second chance. That same night, he was found dead in his cell. He had hanged himself using a cord tied in the same knot he used on his victims. His final act matched his crimes. No apology, no confession, no closure. Just a body and a familiar knot. The man who fooled the world left it the same way he lived in it, deceptive, violent, and silent.